Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday morning here at the Equine Healing Collaborative. We're going to be heading out here to feed the horses shortly. There's my son, Spencer, drinking his coffee before we head out. So, read some of the comments. Duly noted. Don't shake the camera around so much. So I will be doing a much better job at that. And then also I can just delete those parts. Let's see. If you wouldn't mind just kind of putting us on in the background, if this is like content that you enjoy, even if you don't enjoy it, you can mute it and play it in the background. We are attempting to monetize our content. And I'm going to actually be talking about that today and why we are in the process of attempting to monetize our content. So with that said, I'll be putting on my boots. And heading out. So like I shared last week, I get to do this like once a week. It's really the only time that I get to just kind of like solely focus on the horses is on Sunday mornings. It's just nice and relaxed here. Yeah, usually there's a lot of people here, and then I have a lot of meetings that I need to do and things of that nature. So it just makes it nice for me to be able to kind of focus on the horses and spend time with the horses. Because like I said, I don't get to do that very often. The donkeys are yelling at us. So it's been cold at night, but pretty warm during the day. So we blanket our little minis who are shaved, and then blanket kind of our hard keepers. And the first thing I'm going to do this morning, because I feel like we're in more of a routine, is feed Gemma, hi mommy, and Keith. So. I know, it's okay, mama. It's okay. So, this morning what's been on my mind, or actually I should say, during the times that I pretend to sleep, and the things that I find the most troubling are usually revolves around insurance and insurance companies. The majority of our revenue actually comes from billing insurance. And in order to do that, there are several factors, obviously, that need to be in place. The only reason that we're able to, afford this, typically I do not use a machete to cut string. I have a smaller knife, but I can't find it. Although the machete is apropos for insurance companies, I will say that. The only reason that we are able to do what we do here is because of the fact that we bill insurance companies. And, obviously the revenue that we earn obviously meets payroll. Payroll or expenses are our highest expense. But we have our property and just basically like kind of like our overall animal care. Obviously our overhead is probably higher than if, I don't know, clinicians were working from home. That'd be a lot cheaper. But, or if we had a building, that probably would be a lot cheaper too. But, that doesn't really fit in with our model as far as psychotherapy goes. For me personally, I have a couple reasons for that. Obviously, I believe in equine assisted psychotherapy. If you wanted to kind of note it as like an evidence-based practice, it would be experiential therapy, right? So clients get to work out a lot of stuff that's happening for them, kind of like in the real time here and now, through the process of engagement with our horses. And if you're interested in more of that, we're going to be posting more content. Typically Thursday mornings. We're going to be filming clinical supervision on Wednesday, so it just gives you some insight into how equine-assisted psychotherapy works. Anyway, getting back to my meanderings on insurance companies. They literally have the capacity to make providers' lives hell. The first thing that just comes to mind is the lack of clarity around, what is required to do so. And there's so many things that you have to have in place in order to bill insurance. NPI numbers, tax ID, blah. Just goes on and on and on. It's very convoluted and complicated. I feel like that's done on purpose. But it's a lot of bureaucracy just in order to be able to even begin to bill insurance. There's like all of these different numbers and codes that you need to know. And quite frankly, it's kind of a nightmare. Hi. Finley's coming over here to support me while I'm contemplating the horrors of insurance companies. So that's the kind of like the first piece, is that it's super complicated and convoluted. Hi, everybody. Everybody's down below. Reimbursement rates can be pretty low. There can be a lot of things that can take place where you don't get paid and you're not really clear why. And in order to find out why, of course, you need to contact the providers or the insurance company, not the providers. Please excuse me. Hi. Are you guys starving? I don't see how that's possible, that you could be starving. Can you guys back up so I can come in? Come on. Get Bert's feet done. Come on. Come on. Come on. Go on. This is a lot of horse here. Lots and lots and lots of horse. And they kind of chase each other around when you're feeding them, which is terrifying. Hi, sweet girl. Hi. Oh my goodness, your leg looks so much better. Yeah. It does. It looks so much better. Let's see, 1, 2. Hi, mommy. Hi. See, and this is why I like feeding on Sunday mornings. I'm over here talking to y'all about insurance companies, and I kind of stopped caring. It's a nice break, because I do literally lose sleep over this stuff. I worry about making sure that clinicians are paid. My dream for this place is to be able to pay a living wage and pay for healthcare costs for clinical staff, so that they can have access to healthcare, decent insurance, retirement, all the things that that we think about as far as a decent job goes in the United States. So I'm really conscientious about that, maybe too much so, but the other thing that I will say about billing insurance companies is I don't know that I have ever experienced such a demoralizing process. And I guess I kind of liken it to like the worst Starbucks customer ever, or the worst coffee customer ever, where they come in and they tell you, you know, I'd really like a vanilla latte. And, you know, you go ahead and you make that vanilla latte, and while they're ordering, they come and they tell you, you know, by the way, if I don't like this vanilla latte, or if you don't make it just right, I'm not going to pay you. So like, just kind of run this image through your head. So like, you go in and you try to like clarify and specify what this person defines as a good vanilla latte. And they tell you, and so you do the absolute best you can to create that vanilla latte to their specifics. And you hand them their vanilla latte. They start to drink the vanilla latte. And then after it's like half gone, they tell you that that's not what they wanted. Or it's not right. Let's put it that way. It's not right. So you have to essentially kind of like work with them and, you know, try to find out like, okay, so what is right? So like, do you want more vanilla? Do you want more milk? Like, what do you want more of? I'm going to be gathering all of our breakfast guys for some breakfast. And then they tell you, well, I want it this way. So now, mind you, you have to pay the staff who made the vanilla latte. And hi, Moki. Yes, is it time for you to go out? He says it's time for me to go out. So you have to pay the staff who made the vanilla latte for the time that it took them to do it. And you have to pay for the supplies that it took to make the previous vanilla latte. And then you also have to pay for the supplies for the remake of the vanilla latte. So there's all kinds of things that go on. And if you could imagine, like, this would literally go on back and forth for like 3-4 times, where they keep re-asking you to make the vanilla latte. And you are legally obliged to do this. You can't, you know, turn the customer away. You can't tell them no. You can't say, you know, sorry, we can't serve you here. And the reason that you can't do that is because it's, you know, it's all about the relationship, and for you to go. Oh, and then the one thing that I didn't mention is that not only does your vanilla latte goer sit there and basically make it really hard for you to make the perfect vanilla latte, they also don't have to pay you for like 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, in some cases, we've had insurance companies not pay us for months. And you have to be mindful, like, all of that stuff goes out in payroll, right? Like, for those hours that are worked and for insurance benefits and things like that. So it's not like we can tell our staff, hey, too bad, so sad, you have to wait for your paycheck. You know, we have to pay them in a timely manner. So, you know, we try to accommodate that as best we can, but obviously it's not easy to do. So that's my insurance company business analogy. And basically, like, your customer does not come to you like with a good faith effort. In most business deals, you're going to have people who are going to come to you with like a good faith policy, right? When you walk into a place, you get a service and then you pay for a service. Like if you went into a hair salon, like you would never dream of walking out of the hair salon and not paying. But when you are a healthcare provider in the United States of America and you want to help as many people as possible, which is our goal, is to make sure that we are able to help as many people as possible. If you want to do that, you really are in a bad situation as far as collecting revenue. So, hence the YouTube advice from Vanessa. Hi, Skip. Are you gonna let me take your blanket off? Hi. Hi. How's my Skip? Hi. Oh. What are you doing, Sleepy Joe? Come here. You gotta stay here with me. Don't worry. She's not going anywhere. She's not going anywhere. You're fine. You're fine. Stay here. Stay here. Good boy. Aye, this horse. He makes getting blankets off really hard. Maybe he'll stay once he's up here eating. And only in America is stuff like this. And look, here's the thing. Most of the time, the people who work for the insurance companies, they don't even know what's going on. And, you know, I mean, the whole system is just so convoluted and hard to manage and to get through. And, you know, when you look at how much money we actually spend on healthcare in America versus our outcomes, I mean, the data is there. The statistics are horrible. We spend way more money than any other industrialized nation, and our health outcomes are far worse. And, you know, I can specifically apply that to mental health. You know, all of this money and awareness has been poured into, you know, raising awareness for mental health and mental health services, but you'll hear me talk about this a lot. Like, we just experienced the highest suicide rates ever in 2022. Like, literally ever since the CDC began tracking that data, we literally experienced the highest suicide rates. And it's access to services is the greatest barrier. So once you have someone who picks up that phone call or picks up that phone and makes that call, that's like the hardest step. But they pick up the phone, they make the call, and then the battle ensues with the insurance company. And like, what, you know, what can you do around that? And, you know, we're in a bind, although we do the best we can to try to alleviate that as much as possible. But that still costs us money, right? Because we have an administrative person, or people, excuse me, who verify coverage, work with people to try to make sure that their coverage is active. We do the very best we can to kind of give people like a good faith estimate as to what their services are going to cost. But even that, with coverage, insurance companies will not flat out tell you unless you are contracted with them. Insurance companies literally will not tell you how much they'll pay. Like, say, for example, if the services are out of pocket, which is bizarre. Like, how are you supposed to have a conversation with somebody about whether or not they can afford it if, you know, you can't even do that? Tell them how much it's going to be based off of their insurance. And we should have the ability and the capacity to do that. And customers will call the insurance company. They get the same rigmarole. And, you know, anybody who has private insurance in the United States knows without fail that insurance companies will flat out say approval for a service does not guarantee payment. So there's that. That is just really, really troubling. I'm actually going to be posting a response to Dr. Potter, who, I don't know if you've heard of this doctor, but she's this amazing doctor who went on, are you going to grab Zooey? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Oh, Remy. Remy's eating. He says, I'm eating my snacks. He says, I'm eating my snacks.
Photogenic. Here, you want to do this?
Sure, I can do it. Yeah. All right. Anyways, she put up a post. I don't know if you've heard of this doctor or not. She actually put up a social media post that just blew up. And basically, she wrote this post about how she had literally been like entering into surgery to do some reconstructive surgery for a breast cancer survivor, and that's like her specialty, and that United had actually called her out of the surgery to ask her some questions in order to approve the pay for the surgery. And you know, I mean, as you can imagine, like the absurdity of something like that. Hello. Hi, little Scotty. Come on. I know, if you're gonna go get Finn, huh? Hi, Mom. Sorry, you do have to wear this. Yes, you do. I feel like I need a grazing muzzle too. Here. You're such a good girl about this, even though you hate it. You are such a good girl. Yes. I know, if you just didn't eat so much. If you just didn't eat so much all the times. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Come on, back up. Come on, Mama. Come on. Come on out with your friends. There you go. Anyway, she posted a post the other day that she wanted to hear other providers' stories. Oh, I think I got a little bit lost with that. Sorry. So she put this post up about how she was called out of surgery to do this, to talk to the insurance company and like justify the surgery. So she had to like explain like why it was medically necessary. And so she just put this post up on Instagram, and of course, like it just blew up. And then United, in turn, turned around and basically like sent her a cease and desist letter and just really threatened her. I mean, just 100% threatened her, told her to take the post down, told her to not talk about that, and then of course accused her of lying. And as a provider, I'm not a surgeon, obviously, but as a provider, I can tell you that, you know, the idea that she is being disingenuous or dishonest about that is just absurd to me. There's no way. There's no way. Because insurance companies are going to do everything they can to deny care, up to and including just like literally making it as hard as possible. Like that is literally their job, is to make it as hard as possible. And it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. So, anyway, I'm planning on, she put up a post the other day, and I'm planning on kind of responding to that post. Just asking providers to kind of like share some of their stories, the good, the bad, the ugly. And although she asked for doctors to kind of share their stories, because she's basically saying like, doctors, practitioners, we all need to get together and we need to talk about this, because we're so isolated and in silos, and our so-called advocacy agencies they don't do enough. They don't do enough to raise awareness with the public. They don't do enough to demand change, to write legislation for change, typically all that happens is little tiny band-aids on a much larger problem. Hello everybody. Hello everybody. Are you guys okay? This guy's walking really good. This guy's walking much better. Mm-hmm. How's Sky walking this morning? How was Sky walking this morning?
Didn't really check.
Okay.
He walked over here kind of slowly.
Did he? I need another pan in here for the donkeys. Hi, Barbie. Oh, you look so pretty with your pink and purple. Yeah, so anyways, and then the other thing that nobody ever talks about is what are called clawbacks. We've experienced this firsthand, and it is just absolutely obscene, the certain things that they can and will claw back for. I mean, it can be an administrative error that they will do a clawback for. It can be saying that there's not enough medical necessity to do a clawback for. One of the things that Blue Cross Blue Shield has recently started doing is demanding that therapists cut their time that they're spending with clients, and basically calling out therapists and saying that they're billing too many 60-minute therapy sessions, which is just absolutely ridiculous. That is the standard of care in therapy and has been forever, is that you have basically like a 45 to 50 minute therapeutic session. And then, it's kind of this unspoken role that like your documentation, because that is all part of the care that you're providing, that your documentation should happen within like that, 7 to 10 minute time frame. And so they are literally telling clinicians that they cannot bill for a full 60-minute session, or that they're billing too many, and that they want an explanation of why. And then they are doing clawbacks based on that. So insurance companies will just like come up with like different tactics and degrees in order to get their money back. Which is just so problematic, right? I mean, just again, like imagine the Starbucks scenario where this person's come in, they haven't paid you, you've had to remake the coffee like maybe 2 or 3 times. They still haven't paid you. Then they come in and then they're like, okay, finally you got the coffee right, so here's your money for the coffee, which by the way, you can't charge more than what is listed. So it doesn't matter if you got it right the first time or not, you can't charge more. And then they turn around and like 4 months later, they ask you to provide documentation showing the recipe that you used in order to make the coffee. Gemma's fed and the drafts are fed, Spencer. Okay. So we just need to do some alfalfa. And then they come back like 3 or 4 months later asking for the recipe. And then they turn around and they tell you like 2 weeks later that the recipe actually was wrong and that they want their money back. So, like in the United States, we talk about high healthcare costs, and the fact that we're spending so much money on high healthcare costs. If you really, really examine kind of like the nuts and bolts of what is going on, the high healthcare costs are directly attributed to insurance and insurance companies, not to providers. And that is the bottom line, is that this has to do with the fact that we have a for-profit system in this country, and people are trying to make money off of the healthcare industry, and specifically the insurance industry. And, you know, all anybody needs to do is just take one quick look at United Healthcare. They're the largest healthcare provider in the country. All anybody needs to do is just take one look at them and their portfolio, and you'll see, like, people are making billions of dollars off of denying care. So anyways, it's a demoralizing process. Like, really, it's it's really demoralizing for a couple reasons. Number one, you're coming into this profession because you actually genuinely want to help people. And then number two, like, the work that you're doing and the education and the training that you've had is constantly being questioned. You know, being a therapist is incredibly hard. What you have to face and help people get through is incredibly hard. And so, you know, to kind of like put that like on the top of, you know, everything else is just it's demoralizing. It is literally like probably one of the most demoralizing experiences that I've had. And I've worked in some pretty demoralizing environments. I never thought that, you know, kind of being in a group practice the way that we are here, I just never dreamed that this would be as difficult or as challenging as it is. The last 10 years has been just unbelievably eye-opening for me. And quite frankly, pretty depressing. It's really depressing. Again, you know, we call this a moral injury. It's basically where you go into a profession because you want to actually help people or you want to be of service to people. And then the systems at hand don't really allow you to do that. And, you know, that's what it's like being a provider in this country. Like, you're not able to provide the care that you want to or need to or that you think that you should. And again, it's incredibly demoralizing. Hi. Are you guys gonna get mad at that alfalfa? You're gonna get mad at that alfalfa. Zooey's really mad at it. Oh, Zooey's so mad at the alfalfa. And yes, you are seeing, your eyes are not deceiving you. My donkey does wear socks. By the way, she wears socks because she has horrible fly allergies, and so she needs them. Hi, Lola. Hi. You doing okay there? Oh, Smokey. Smokey like his food. Hi. Hi. You gonna say hi? Say hi to YouTube. All right. You ready?
Well integrated these three are.
I know. They're just chilling.
Jesus.
She won't get in front of you.
I don't know about that.
She won't. Wellington's getting mad at Phoebe. God, you know, and honestly, like, I don't know how people do private practice and deal with all that stuff without, like, I don't know, like, the support of this. Like, this is what keeps me going right here. And honestly, I feel like that's what this is what keeps a lot of our clinicians going as well. Is just, there's Finn right there. He's just over there, just, you know,
There he is.
being in this space. And, you know, being able to work like we do. I think a lot of clinicians just really, they work in like traditional spaces, and that's why there's such high burnout. Not that there's not burnout here. This is, you know, the job is hard no matter what. But I do feel like this helps, and I know for sure it helps me to kind of like stay focused on the mission and stay focused on like why we're here. So obviously, like, we rescue all of our horses. That's, you know, kind of like a baseline, but we're so much more than that. You know, we work to help people. And when I think about like how many people we actually help, there's like at least 400 people a month who come here, and that's just for our individual therapy. That doesn't include any of our other programming. There's people who come here for our retreats. We get a lot of requests in the community for, you know, staff who are really burned out, stressed out, working in the nonprofit sector, and especially like right now with the way things are politically. And so we just do the best we can to try to, you know, reach as many people as we can. But easily in a year through our various programs, easily, and this is kind of like a low estimate, there's like at least 1,000 people a year who are touched by our programs. Excuse me. So it's a lot. It's a lot of people who we help. And I think, you know, honestly, like for me, the worst part about all of this is that if we actually got paid for what we did, a fair rate by insurance companies, and didn't have to fight with them to get paid, if we did that, like, this space would be totally sustainable. Well, yeah. There's Mr. Benny. Benny was in our video this morning that I posted. Benny loves to play. This horse has an amazing sense of humor. There's Miss Callie Pants. And there's our sentinel, Brave One, up here. He's always up on top, watching everybody. He will go eat, but he always wants to make sure that everybody is exactly where they're supposed to be. Kind of watches over the herd to make sure everybody's okay before he comes in. He's a wild horse. And in this space, in this large space, he really has kind of fallen into his instincts, which is really cool to see. Relying on insurance companies to pay you is it's not a good business plan at all. My issue is the fact that it's not being done to improve health or healthcare outcomes, or to improve like us as providers. It's done in order to basically enrich insurance companies. And I think that when you have a for-profit healthcare system in place, that's exactly what's going to happen. Nobody should be making money off of the death of someone who just simply needs care. Last thing I'll say is, the more you watch our YouTube channel, even if you just have us playing in the background, the better for us. We are trying to monetize our content. This is kind of one of the reasons why we're trying to monetize our content, is because the people who pay us are not good faith partners. And then also it just creates a revenue stream for us that, that is a little bit more reliable. Believe it or not, that is a little bit more reliable. But also, it's something where we're not necessarily doing direct fundraising. So in other words, it's a way, there's so many people who have messaged us with our latest fundraiser who have said I can't donate, or I can't donate right now, or I will donate when I get paid, but just watching our YouTube channel can be just as impactful as something like that. So I'm just hoping that we can continue. We've gotten quite a few new subscribers. And so please, I would just be so grateful. The more you watch, the more you like, the more you comment, the more people that you get to subscribe to our channel. It's just basically going to allow us to continue to do the amazing work that we do. And so I just want to express my gratitude to you all for that. All right, you guys, have a good Sunday. And I've still got tons of things to do. So I'll talk to you guys next week.